Hello everyone, it's me Murli. Today we'll do a quick recap of what we did in the previous session and then we'll go step by step of what we do for the next steps. Okay, so in the quick recap session, what we did in our previous video is we have logged in, we have seen that it's a Microsoft Fabric here, and when we click on the Microsoft Fabric, you see all these, what are the products which are there in the Fabric. Then we clicked on the data engineering, we have seen this UI. Within this UI, we clicked on OneLake Data Hub to see what all the lake houses it has, and then we clicked on the workspaces to find what all the workspaces it has. By default it comes with the My Workspace, and we clicked on the My Workspace and we started with we stopped it at this stage. Now in this session we are going to see how to create a notebook, how to run quick some PySpark commands and Spark SQL commands. After that, we'll create some data sets which are required for a use case. And that use case, what I am thinking is to create something like on the grocery stores, because that is our day-to-day need for everyone. And whatever the data which I'm going to create here is more relevant, and you can understand the columns and the tables which we use in that one. So to start with, let's click on the Create Notebook, and the very first page, how you're going to see is something like this. A page with the left side, a Lakehouse Explorer, and right side, a notebook. This notebook is very similar to what all the notebooks you have got used to in the past. And the commands are more or less the same, like you can write the markdown commands, we can write the actual code, and the actual code, because we are dealing with the Microsoft Fabric by default gives these languages like PySpark, Spark with Scala, Spark SQL, and Spark R. In all our sessions we use PySpark because that's what most of the data engineers are using, and we have lots of libraries which are related to Python which can be used in our subsequent sessions. Now let's start here. This is the first one cell which they have given by default, and observe this. By default it comes as the code cell, and if you want to create a new cell, you can create a new cell by clicking on the code. Otherwise you can click on the markdown to give some title. Now for example, the code, whatever it is already there, I want to convert this one as a markdown heading. So you can click on this, convert to markdown cell like this. So it converts into a markdown cell like this. Now if you want to just convert it to a code, just convert it to a code. So this is how you can use this particular cell to either write the code or the markdown. For example, otherwise, now if I want to run this one, just shift enter on your keyboard. Otherwise you can click on this run cell. You can click on the run cell so that the very first time when it is running, it starts this session. And see here, it is starting the session. The very first command, it starts the session, and yes, now the session is up and running for us. Once after the session is up and running, we can write whatever the code we want. Okay, now just I want to just show you a new cell and type some heading 1. Okay, so if you put as heading 1 and you want to convert this into a markdown, you can convert this into a markdown, and you want to put some other heading under that, so heading 2, and you can actually use the markdown language with two hashes, which means your HTML in the HTML heading 2, however you get in the HTML heading 2, in the same way here 2 hashes, it is a bit smaller to heading 1. So this is how we get heading 1 and heading 2. And when you click on the view and click on the contents, you can see the heading 1 and heading 2. The reason why we need to understand this markdown is this will help us to document our notebook in a more efficient way so that our rest of the team can understand what this particular code is doing. So that is the purpose of it. Now, under this heading 2, if you want to write some code, we can write some code. So let us take one simple example. I want to write simply a Python script. So a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, and c is equal to a plus b, and I want to print c. So very simple. You can write any of the Python code, something like this, and it generates the output here. Now, after this, I want to write a simple PySpark script. Now, before writing the PySpark script, I want to actually show you even the Spark SQL as well. Yeah, click on this and you can change it to Spark SQL so that it gives here to a magic command called %% and this one you can write some select one as ID, some description one as some description. Okay, so when you say something like this, you get this output in a tabular fashion like this. If we use our union all in our select statements, you can use select 2 with description 2 and you get 2 rows. This is how you can write a simple Spark SQL command to get this output in this way. Now I'll take this select statement, create in a PySpark data frame. So data frame, some sample data frame is equal to, and I want to use that spark.sql with, I will use the F string so that you can put F triple quotes like this here and the beginning and the end. Between these two, you can write whatever the select statement you want. Just write the select statement and you get df underscore sample data frame. Once after you get the df underscore sample data frame, you can df underscore sample, you can create or replace temp view and use sample temp view. You created a data frame and then you have given a view name to the data frame. After that, you can call the output of the data frame something like this: %SQL select star from sample temp view. And once after you get this output like this, if you want to export that into a CSV, you can click on that and you can click on the CSV. So it generates the CSV and you can open that CSV in an Excel and you can see this output. Now we have seen how to run a simple PySpark with Python code, Spark SQL like this, and then we take a simple example which I prepared it for you guys. Here I want to import some of the PySpark functions and PySpark types so that we can create some data set from the Python list. That data set, we will use it as the sample data set for our grocery stores use case. Okay, so what is from PySpark.sql.functions? What does this mean? This is the PySpark.sql.functions. If you search in Google and look for the PySpark SQL functions, it will take you to this page. Within the Apache Spark, we got the functions. It has all these functions, and when you say here from PySpark.sql.functions import star, then we can start using the PySpark functions. And then we got PySpark.sql.types, import star. In the same way, you search on Google, then it will take you to these data types. And in these data types, here, these are the types which the PySpark supports. These are the types which PySpark supports. And then we use a simple piece of code, something like this. I created a simple PySpark Python list, and this is an array which has a tuple like this and another tuple. Here I create a schema which is of struct type. When I say here struct type and here struct field, which means these are the ones which are part of these libraries. If I don't include them here and start using them, it may throw error. So it's better first you import them and then you use struct type and struct field. And what I am trying to define here is I'm trying to define the schema of this data set. So in this tuple, we got the product ID and some product name. So I have named the column name as product ID and this one as product name. What are the data types of them? So product ID, I said is string type, and product type, product name, I made it as string type. Yeah, you may question why this product ID is a string type. Here we can change it to integer as well, but we need to remove these double quotes here and make sure these double quotes and these double quotes we should remove, and then this becomes an integer type. For now, just let us actually work with string type as an example. So we got the string types. After that, I want to convert this PySpark list into the Spark data frame. So I create a spark.create data frame. Data is equal to this data and schema is equal to this schema. Once after I get this, let me run up to this stage. So we got that. After that, if I want to print the schema of it, you can print the schema, and that's how you get product ID, product name with the string types. And here I give a name to that particular data frame, a temporary view name, so that I can use it here in a Spark SQL. So this is how I converted. This is a simple example of how we can take a PySpark data frame, the Python list, and convert into a PySpark data frame. This pattern helps us to create what all the data sets we want, and I will give you in the subsequent sessions how we can create the data sets for the grocery related entities. Thanks everyone. We will see great stuff going forward. Stay tuned.